What's up, guys? Alright, so today we're going to talk about this figure right here. This is the Mcfarlane Toys DC Multiverse Swamp Thing. And I know I'm late on the draw here. I know he came out like last year, and I'm just now picking him up, and I'll go into more detail towards the end when we talk about price, as far as where I got him and how much he costs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, we're going to take a look at him here today. I'm happy to finally be able to get a hold of him. It took a while to find him. Again, at a price I was willing to pay, and I finally did, and so I kind of want to talk about it here. So we're going to do an unboxing here, we're going to take a look at the figure, and then we're going to compare it to some other figures. But here's what we got right now. So we've got the box here, pretty standard stuff for the deluxe figures. There he is on the side there, New 52 Swamp Thing. On the back here, we got a pretty good picture. Now, I can't tell, I think this might actually be a picture of the toy, but they've done it in a really cool way that it almost looks like a piece of art. It almost doesn't look like just a picture of the toy. I can't really tell for sure. It's hard to tell, but either way, it is a cool picture, which is nice to see that on the back of the box. But other than that, we got the figure there. Let's go ahead and crack him open and see what we got. All right, so here we go. This is the guy out of the package. Now, first off, this guy was ridiculously hard to stand up on his own. If you try to stand him up with straight legs and stand him up properly without leech, kind of maneuvering him and crouching him just a little bit to give him the ability to balance a little bit better, he just topples over every time. I could not get this guy to balance for anything. Like if I wanted to stand him up straight without bending the knees a little bit, I'd have to like lean him up against something. And to just go ahead and talk about the accessories here real quick before we get into anything else. It just comes with this little base, just one, just like all the other figures do, and this does nothing for him. He's too big, he's too heavy. This is worthless. Maybe if you had two of them, one for each foot, it might do something. I didn't try that, but this does nothing. The other accessories, get those out of the way here. We did go ahead and get the card. Again, I do like this picture. I think this is a cool picture. But again, I don't really collect the cards, but you've got the bio, you got the picture, you got all that stuff there. And then the only accessory it comes with is a swap for the hand, where you can kind of have the wooden bark kind of, stabbing implement that he's got, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I'll pose him with this or not, but it is much appreciated to at least get some kind of accessory in the box there. So there is that. All right, so the figure itself is actually really well done. The only thing negative I can say about it is really that it just would have looked so much better with more paint. It's got a couple different shades of green, it's got some brown in there, and that's about it. And then of course we've got the eyes, hard to see there because they're so shadowed, but the eyes are red and they look good, but other than that there's really not much color. And because the green, different shades of green and a little bit of brown, the colors are so similar, there is some variations, and it does help bring out the details in the figure some. But with some better paint apps, man, this thing could look phenomenal, because I will say just the level of detail that they've got on this guy is amazing. I mean, to the point that even the joints here aren't just flat joints. They've actually got molded, textured, and vines and things on them, and that's just the elbow joints there, or the knee joints there. The level of detail on this thing is really well done. It just really, again, with some better paint apps, it would look amazing. If you wanted to do this in a wash or do some detailing on it or something like that, you would have an amazing figure here. Again, the sculpt is perfect. Mcfarlane already does really good sculpts, and I gotta say, this is probably the best sculpted figure I have seen from Mcfarlane, just in the level of detail there is just all over him, and there's no two spots on him that are the same. It's all different. The feet are even molded completely differently, and they probably could have got away with making the feet just reverse images of each other, but they didn't. And it's just very well done. As far as the articulation goes, I'm not going to go too much through that. It's basic Mcfarlane articulation, and there's nothing on this guy that hinders the articulation as far as what you would expect as far as leg movements. It's got double jointed knees, double jointed elbows. It does have ball joint ankles, which again, why? especially on a deluxe figure like this. Why? And that is why it was so hard to stand up, is he's got these ball joint ankles shoved up under there, and it's just such a waste. Especially when on the hands they went a different route, and they went the newer joints, just much larger. And so you've got that, and you've got the rotation, and you've got everything you need with this right here, especially with a figure this big and this heavy. I don't know why they went with the stupid ball joint ankles. It just makes him hard to stand and balance. So that's really the only negative thing I can say. As far as the paint details, while I would appreciate more paint, I can't say that's a negative. This is a mass-produced figure. I understand why they didn't get into too much detail on this thing, and the details they gave us are amazing. It just would look nicer if there was even more details, and we can always say that. So in general, I mean, he's a fantastic figure. Again, movements there, double jointed elbows with the bicep swivels, and you know, I mean, he's got everything. I mean, like all Mcfarlane figures, he doesn't really bend over. He's got the articulation there. He's got this double dumbbell joint in there between the hips and the torso up there, but it doesn't really do anything. It doesn't really move. But again, it's a Mcfarlane figure. Most of them don't. Without going in there with a Dremel and doing some modifications and some customizations, you're not going to get this guy to bend over or bend back very well. As far as head articulation goes, that is one thing that just it doesn't have. I mean, up, down. That's it. Side, side. There is rotation, which is fine. But, you know, for the figure that he is, I guess, for this character, I don't need a lot of looking up per se. It would be nice to get some looking down. You'd like him to look down at the other figures, considering he is so much bigger than the rest of them. But all in all, articulation is good for what this figure is. The sculpt is amazing. The paint is you know, what you would expect, which is good, but not great. Again, with the ball joints, not a fan. Wish they would change it. I know they've started to, but I wish they would have done it with this. I know this figure's about a year old, so they were still using that, but they went with the newer articulation on the wrist, which just looks great and functions perfectly. So would have been nice if they had done the same thing with the ankles there, but they didn't. All right, so got that out of the way. All in all, great figure. Let's go ahead and throw him up against some other characters and see what he looks like. Okay, so first up, we've got him here with two other DC Multiverse figures. We've got him here with Blight, which is an amazing figure, by the way. I know who Blight is. I loved watching Batman Beyond back in the day, and this guy looks very, very different from the Blight I remember. But as far as the figure goes, that Blight is a great figure. And then, of course, what I believe is the best Batman figure we have gotten from DC Multiverse under Mcfarlane, which is the original Detective Comics 1000 Batman. Both of them here, I think this is a great height. And now remember, if I had him standing completely straight up and I was able to actually get him to stand up, he'd be about 3/4 of an inch taller, maybe even an inch taller. So he towers over them no matter what, which is perfect for Swamp Thing. I think it works really, really well. It's going to look really good with all the rest of your DC Multiverse figures. All right, so now we're going to throw them up against some 6-inch scale figures. On the left, we've got Marvel Legends. This is the 80th anniversary Thor. And on the right, we've got Star Wars Black Series. I believe this is the 40th anniversary Darth Vader? I can't remember, but great Darth Vader figure, by the way. Both of them, again, 6-inch scale, still look really good. I mean, that's the cool thing about Swamp Thing, is if you wanted to put him in some other display, he still works, because he's a big, huge, hulking character. He's supposed to be really, really large and much bigger than other characters. So even in 6-inch scale, I think he still works really well. Alright, so now it's more of a joke than anything else. We've got a couple of SH Figure Arts figures here. We've got on the left, we've got Endgame Captain America, and on the right, we've got Age of Ultron Thor. And, you know, even with him supposed to be, you know, being much larger than other characters, they're still just way too small. This is not a display I'd want to put together. It's just a bit too much. Alright, so now we got him up against a couple of juggernauts. On the left, we have Marvel Select. On the right, we've got Hasbro Marvel Legends, and he towers over both of them. And remember, he's in a crouching position, slightly crouched. So standing up full, he's going to be considerably taller than both of them by a lot, which I really like. Again, Swamp Thing is the kind of figure that you want that big. He is a huge, towering creature. And I think for this, it definitely works. All right, for some more extra large figures on the left, we've got Hasbro Marvel Legends. This is a Hulkbuster Iron Man. And on the right, we've got Marvel Select. I believe this is Immortal Hulk. Two fantastic figures that I absolutely love. And still, even in a crouching position, he's still considerably taller than both of them. And yeah, again, this is what I want from a Swamp Thing figure. All right, so now it's time to talk about price and wrap this up. Now, retail, this guy goes for about 40 bucks. Now, on the aftermarket, which unfortunately is primarily where you're going to find this thing, he can run $50 and up, especially when you factor in shipping. If you hop on eBay or Mercari or a lot of places, you're gonna see this guy going for $50 and up, and shipping's usually between 15 and 20 bucks. He gets expensive. He's a big figure, comes in a big box, costs a bit to ship, and the price has gone up from retail just as far as his value goes, at least on the aftermarket. Now, I actually got really lucky and found him in store at GameStop for his retail price, and on top of that, because I'm a GameStop, what is it, Power Rewards member, whatever it is, which is a thing I almost never use, and I have points built up from buying things, and I get things like free $5 and $10 a month coupons. I actually only paid $22 for this guy with all my discounts. So I got really lucky. You may or may not be able to get that lucky, I understand. So let's just assume retail price 40 bucks, aftermarket 50. Is this figure worth it? Well, yeah, I mean, I think it is. For 40 bucks, which is double the price of a standard Mcfarlane figure where you're essentially paying the same as you would for two different figures, then yeah, this is a big, huge, deluxe figure that is beautiful. It's just a great looking figure all around. Very few complaints about this. And yeah, is it worth the price of two other figures? Absolutely. Is it worth the price of 50 bucks? Or then when you include shipping, 60, 65, 70? I don't know about that. I certainly would not pay that much for this. I wouldn't have paid that much for this. It's why it took me so long to find one of these figures, and I just got lucky rolling into a GameStop at the right time, and they had it out, and I just happened to be in a place where I get coupons and discounts. So I was very lucky. You have to determine whether or not it's worth it to you. I'm not saying it's not worth it. I'm just saying I wouldn't have paid 50 bucks and up for this figure. $40? Yeah, absolutely, all day long, hands down, it's worth it. 100%. When this figure first came out, and if you can still find it at retail on occasion, it is worth the $40. This is easily worth as much as two other Mcfarlane figures, without a doubt. So, great sculpt, good articulation, huge figure. There's really not much to complain about here. If you can find this guy and he's in a price you're willing to pay, he's definitely worth it. I mean, short of a couple of issues that really all Mcfarlane figures have, namely the bad ankles, this may be the best Mcfarlane figure I have seen to date. Just on the level of detail in the sculpt alone, it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful figure. So to me, if you could find it for a good price, this is a no-brainer and will definitely make a good addition to your collection. Both two fantastic figures, by the way. And again, he towers over them. Again, he's crouching. They're not. He's crouching. Let's try that again.